Mother's Day in Bolivia is a big deal. And when I say big deal, I mean big deal. It is a celebration that leads to so much drinking that sometimes schools are shut down the next day because teachers are so hungover they can't show up to school. And that's even when they live right there on the campus. But what do hungover teachers have to do with Mother's Day? Mother's Day in Bolivia starts at school. Months ahead of time, schools start preparing for the big celebration. They prepare an assembly where kids recite poetry, they sing national songs, they play music and dance traditional dances. After this event, the community provides a big meal, and then the drinking starts, goes house to house to house until the wee hours of the morning, hence those hungover teachers. As an education volunteer, I found myself in the midst of the planning and preparation for the big Mother's Day event in the small village of El Carmen. I was hanging out one afternoon watching the high schoolers practice their dance when Professor Juan approached me. Mega, ¿qué piensas de este baile? Juan, this baile, it's beautiful, bien bonito. Mega, ¿y este es como bailan en los Estados Unidos? Well, they don't really dance like this in America. It's a little different. Is this what is a traditional American dance like? Asked Juan. ¿Qué es el gran baile americano? Before I knew it, I had been recruited to teach a dance for Mother's Day. And not just any dance, but a great American dance. Now, I have taken some dancing in my life, but I am by no means a professional. I've done a little ballroom dancing, I can salsa and merengue with the best of them. I've had my foray into the country western scene, but none of these were striking me as the great American dance. Plus, a lot of our dances originate from somewhere else. So this got me thinking, what is the great American dance? And what dance would best represent the United States to this tiny village of El Carmen? So I went back and I started going through my CDs. This is around 2002, so no iPods, and I had one of those little zip cases and I'm flipping through. And most of my CDs are from the 90s. Grunge music, not great American dance material. But as we know, music tends to cycle back. In the 90s, I was going to a lot of funk and disco parties, and that music was well represented in my CD collection. And as I start looking through, I come across it, and I find the CD that has the great American dance. A dance I know, a dance I can teach. It's not a partner dance. It's a little bit of a glorified electric slide. The CD, Disco Mania Original Hits. For the Great American Dance, I was going to teach the hustle. So, the next day, I met up with one of my good friends, a fifth grade teacher, and I asked Nida, do you think that fifth graders would be interested in learning a great American dance? Of course they would! Who wouldn't, right? Keep in mind, the village of El Carmen has no electricity, no TVs, no phone, no internet, and even the radio is really rare unless you could afford to buy batteries. So these little fifth graders, for the first time ever, were going to be dancing an American dance in the village of El Carmen. We started practicing that afternoon. We met in Nida's backyard, a red earth dirt lot with huge mango trees in the back and little stick fences going around. We kicked a few chickens out of the way, got those skinny little dogs out, and we started the dance. So for those of you that don't know the hustle, it's pretty easy. 1, 2, 3, back. 1, 2, 3, forward. You do grapevine with a turn. Don't get stuck in your cord, and you clap. Do another grapevine with a turn. Clap. Most important, disco point, egg beater, chicken, kick, and then you rotate the next direction. I hooked up my speakers, we got the music going, and before we knew it, we had a small crowd of kids hanging on the fence, watching the beginnings of the great American dance. A few weeks into our practicing, Nida comes up to me, worried, and asks me, what are they gonna wear? Well, platform shoes and bell-bottoms weren't really accessible in El Carmen. I had no idea. But that was not an acceptable answer to a Boliviana. Bolivia has many dances, and they each have their own very unique and intricate costume. Big headdresses or masks or crazy hats. We needed something. I thought about it. Masks. We will make masks. The next week, 5th grade was a flurry of mask making. We cut out paper, kids made half masks, they made full masks, they made towering masks. They had horns and some had beaks and we shredded plastic bags and stuff dangled down. They glued little macaronis on them, colored them with markers. And what did these masks have to do with the hustle? Nothing, but they looked great. 4 days before the event, Naida, still worried about our great American dance, is asking me, we have our masks, but what are they gonna wear? I had no idea. I was thinking the little white and blue school uniform, but once again, not acceptable. This Boliviana had very high expectations for the great American dance, and that was the Bolivian way. You needed a good costume. The next day, she brought me this bag of cut white material squares that she had left over from something, and basically was like, what are we gonna do with this? The first and the only idea that came to my head, tie-dye. We tie-dye little squares for kids to pin on the front and back. 2 days in between class and dance practice, we tie-dyed, and every kid had a square for the front and the back. When Mother's Day finally arrived, we were prepared. We had a well-rehearsed dance, we had masks, and we had tie-dye. Watch out, El Carmen, the great American dance, it's here. That morning, as parents are setting up benches for this big overhang in front of a little outdoor stage, Profe Juan comes up to me. Mega, ¿qué es el nombre de tu baile? The dance is called the hustle. Hustle? The hustle. Baile hustle, baile hustle. And when he asked me what this dance meant, I really didn't have time or kind of the wherewithal at that moment to explain kind of the whole street hustle scene. So I just told him to hustle means speed it up. Ah, baile rápido. So that is how the hustle got translated to the fast dance. So the assembly started. Kids were reciting poetry, they are singing, they are dancing, and finally, it's our turn. My little 5th graders get up on the stage, they assume the disco point position to start, they have their masks on, and over the loudspeaker we can hear Juan's voice comes through. Y ahora tenemos el gran baile americano, baile el hustle, baile rápido, baile de los Estados Unidos, baile el hustle. And the music starts. The music starts, and kids start dancing. They go back 2, 3, 4, forward 2, 3, 4. They start getting their turns and their claps, and they are looking good. They are on point, and the masks are mainly in position. The tie-dye is there, and as they're dancing, they get into their next rotation, and as the song goes on, and the song goes on, and the song goes on, I'm realizing that the hustle, this is a long song. And it's actually a little bit boring. And as these kids are dancing, they are dancing their heart out. The audience is silent. And they are sitting there very still. And the kids keep dancing and dancing. And as I'm watching this, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, this is a little bit like when you sing karaoke and you wish you'd picked the 2-minute song and not the 4-minute song. But they're going for it. And as the masks slowly start to fall off, and as the tie-dye kind of slips down, I'm realizing that this is not an American dance anymore. This has been transformed into some crazy Americano-Boliviano dance interpretive hybrid. Finally, those kids are coming around to the last moment, their last turn, last steps. They come up, disco point, and the music stops. And it's silent. 4 to 5 seconds, maybe more. It felt like a really long time. It was silent. Slowly, some clapping starts. Now, this was not clapping that turned into cheering and hooting and baila, baila, baila. No, this was polite clapping. And Bolivians are generally a reserved people, but I was feeling like it was extra polite. And I'm pretty sure that in that moment, the people of El Carmen were wondering, El Gran Baile Americano? Is this really how Americans dance? I like to think they were just a little bit awed by the wonder of the Baile El Hustle. So it's now been about 15 years coming up on the introduction of the Great American Dance to the little community of El Carmen. And as we know, history repeats itself, for the better or for the worse. But I am willing to bet that if you were traveling in the deep campo of eastern Bolivia, especially around Mother's Day, you might come across a special dance, a secret underground dance that only the cool kids know, where they wear masks, where they wear kind of crazy material. And someone might tell you, oh, that's just like an electric slide. But you know, and we both know, that dance, it's something different. That's baile rápido. That's the Americano Boliviano dance. Baile el hustle.